Previously on Maplestory the novel, Sacred Tears.
You know why I hold a spell at the ready.
But I've done it. I've rid the world of its darkness.
What could you possibly hope to gain from something so terrible?
You may think you can protect Rean by blocking my path, Ariel.
We have to do something.
Can you imagine how powerful the darkness will become if it gets a hold of her?
How do you plan to approach her temple?
Dark alchemy will pave the way.
And now, the continuation of Chapter 22, Part 2.
There is another way.
The woman's dry voice hissed.
Then tell me before my patience runs dry,
Demanded Arkarium, setting his staff on the ground with a loud metallic clap. The woman straightened, her fists tightening before speaking.
Go through the forest of peace to the mountain of healing. Climb to the peak, and you will find the Anima Monastery that guards the path into the Temple of Time.
Arkarium squinted, standing in silence for a while.
why would you betray your patron, woman? Who are you?
I have told you. I am the Oracle of the Keeper of all time, not Ariel. Your actions are necessary,
She declared, turning away from him and stepping back. Arkarium was silent for a moment before barking a command to his serpent sorcerers and marching toward the mountain. Once they were out of view, the woman slipped into an alley where Minerna removed the burlap robe, stretching her shoulders and unfurling her wings to relieve the discomfort of being confined under the tight cloak.
I'm sorry, Ariel. I hope you can forgive all that I have put you through.
Upon returning to the temple, Ariel was greeted by the sight of the temple knights patrolling the halls much more intensely. The most powerful of them, the Oblivion Knights, were stationed at each hallway, while the Qualm and Memory Knights patrolled.
What happened? I gave no order to mobilize.
Ariel asked, catching one of the monks of the Red by the sleeve as he passed her. Clank watched your meeting with Dane. Word of what happened reached your mother Minerna. She ordered the mobilization, replied the monk. Ariel took a deep, agitated breath behind closed eyes and let him go.
Very well. Please continue and have the Chief of the Oblivion Knights come see me.
Yes, my goddess, the monk answered, turning away down a hall while Ariel summoned up a creature made of an hourglass having small wings on the top.
Show me to my daughter, Rain.
She commanded. A single eye within the hourglass's sand bubbled up, looking around for a moment before sharply turning and flying in the desired direction. The creature led her to Reen's room, where Clank stood guard.
Has Rain said anything since I've gone?
Ariel asked. Clank's eyes glowed to life within his helm as though waking from a nap.
Reen has been quiet. I must return to the barracks, my goddess, as my mana is running quite low.
Ariel nodded slightly to release him from his post as the knight immediately left for the barracks, clouds of sand dust kicking up along his path. Knocking softly on Reen's door, she listened for her voice for a moment. When no noise came, Ariel called to her, slowly opening her door to see her curled up on her bed, lying as still as stone.
Rain?
Ariel called again, carefully closing the door and moving to sit on her bed where she could see her reddened face and tear-soaked pillow. Reaching over, Ariel ran her hand over Reen's silvery hair.
Why did he do it?
Whispered Reen, staring across the room with salty riverbeds of tears clinging to her face.
He was such a good person. He didn't deserve it. Why didn't you save him?
Turning her head toward Ariel, she revealed her eyes to be dull and distant, unable to reflect the light coming from the small sparks that floated throughout the temple.
I couldn't. The magic in him would have required more power than his body could withstand.
Reen's eyes squinted shut, rolling her face back into her pillow. Just as Ariel began to speak, one of the memory knights came through the door.
Goddess, your presence is needed urgently.
Nodding, she kissed Reen's head and departed, closing the door softly behind her.
What's the matter?
Ariel questioned, stopping when an explosion echoed through the halls.
A thin man with long white hair and beard is assaulting the temple's front gate, commanding an army of serpents.
Lowering her brow, Ariel spread her wings and hurried toward the noise. Upon arriving, a bolt of fizzling black-colored magic flew past her face, disintegrating part of the wall behind her overlooking the main gate of the temple. Ariel extended her vision to survey the area where 1,000 serpents stood waiting as the front line of serpents hammered the front gate.
How did this army come here? There's no path leading into Euphoria,
Ariel demanded.
That isn't true, Goddess. There has always been a secret path into Euphoria, hidden and guarded by a monastery on the Mountain of Healing, created by your mother.
The knight quickly explained.
Another secret kept from me? How many more things did Mother keep from me?
Ariel bellowed, surveying the area where the serpent stood, poised with unnatural stillness when something slammed into her face, throwing her to the ground in pain. She quickly healed the area around her right eye, but the chief knight explained nothing had hit her.
Someone within that company can see my extended vision and hurt me via that. As far as I'm aware, Dane's.
She paused for a long while, remembering Dane was gone. And there was no other name for him.
Black magic is the only thing that could do something like that. Whoever this is must be in league with him. General Dodo!
Ariel called. A large shadow loomed over them as the enormous creature slowly and gracefully lowered itself into Ariel's view.
Drive them back! Do not let them enter the temple ground at any cost!
Ariel commanded. The whale-like creature gave a wailing hum in acknowledgement, humming out commands in a language of sounds and clicks. The memory knights charged from the temple, storming the front gate just as it collapsed. The knights formed their swords and devastated the few serpents who entered, leaving the path slick with strangely colored blood. General Dodo slammed his body down, squashing scores of serpents, leaving only a few for the knights to dispatch. With the serpents finally eliminated, only one attacker remained, the thin man. In one hand, he held a green skull and a black staff in the other, while his great cobra familiar coiled behind him, rising and spreading its hood.
Fools, all of you. I am Arkarium, Master of Dark Alchemy and Earl of Devastation, second in command to Magus Sloe. Only your submission will save you and your daughter.
Arkarium shouted, holding the skull forward as it lit up, casting discomforting light around him. General Dodo lifted into the air as a whining groan came from him, shaking the ground. The knights encircled Arkarium, jamming their swords into the ground, each of their pommels linking with a thread of bright blue energy. A hearty laugh escaped Arkarium as beams of red light shot from the top of his staff, only to strike a barrier rippling before him. With a raised eyebrow, Arkarium released a darker beam, tearing through the barrier and obliterating 3 knights in its path. The barrier wavered as more knights filled the space, driving their swords down, linking with the others, and reforming the barrier. Arkarium laughed harder, releasing another dark red beam. Arkarium laughed harder, releasing another dark red beam. It growled and snapped before striking the barrier and ricocheting into the ground. Arkarium stared in befuddlement, his brow contorting over his eyes with angular fury as he unleashed an even greater beam of energy, only to duck and weave to avoid being hit before it dissipated.
What is this?
He asked, surprise or fear thick in his voice. General Dodo lowered before him, speaking with a slow and deep cadence, making the air quiver.
The barrier of memory. Once broken, that which broke it before will no longer work.
Growling as his teeth creaked and his face wrinkled, Arkarium released another, much larger beam, his familiar glowing and rising behind him. The old alchemist summoned enough power to break the barrier and obliterate a few knights. But as before, more knights came and rebuilt the barrier. With a yell, Arkarium released the same beam, having to cast a counterspell when it bounced back toward him.
Impossible! Dark alchemy can break down all magic.
Not when that magic counters itself. The barrier of memory mimics the human immune system, Arkarium,
called Ariel as she glided down to the circle, armor appearing on her shoulders and torso.
Its power comes from that which broke it before, immune to that attack for all time.
Arkarium sneered, looking for an escape route when he spotted a smaller strike force of his serpent mages appearing near the front gate.
If I can't break it from within, then I will break it another way. Attack!
He shouted. The serpents leapt onto the knights, tearing pieces from them. Within seconds, the barrier weakened as the serpents mangled more knights, pulling them away until it shattered like glass. After another few moments, blood, bodies, and metal lay strewn across the ground. But Arkarium was nowhere to be seen.
He must have fled! After him!
Shouted a chief memory knight.
Belay that order!
Called Ariel, dispelling her armor and looking at the devastation around her.
Everyone back to the temple. General Dodo, gather all your knights. Set them around the temple and erect the barrier of memory around it.
Dodo hummed as he turned and swam through the air back to the temple. Ariel went to the Mirror of Time, hoping her actions would avert the disaster. Peace had become more prominent, but the looming disaster still overshadowed it.
Monks of the temple, gather your strength and forces and report to your generals to assist the knights. General Lilynouche, General Lykyra, I require your presence,
Ariel called. Within moments, a giant knight chess piece made of ice and a red bull with gilded armor around its horns approached.
We answer your summons, goddess,
they said in unison.
Lilynouche, take your Calm Knights, set up a blockade along the choke points of the temple, and assign the Calm Knight designated as Clank to escort Ring to the innermost chambers. Lykyra, station your Oblivion Knights to defend the temple's innermost chambers and hold it at all costs.
A billow of flames plumed from Lykyra's snout as the chess piece set down with a thud. Its side opened, and a woman with elongated, angular eyes stepped out from it.
Goddess, such a mobilization has not been required since the great beginning. What are we preparing for?
Lykyra asked, his heart racing and his muscles itching.
I too would like to know why such a call has been made. The great beginning was witness to many deaths.
Ariel let out a long breath as she summoned her armor, reaching out and grabbing hold of her giant poleaxe, Maha, as it appeared beside her.
War.
Arkarium navigated the halls of the sewers with as much stealth as he could muster, trying to make it back to his room and laboratory where he could replenish his army of serpent sorcerers.
Where have you been, Grandpa? And where's that contingent you left with?
Hilda asked, pulling her lips to the side in a smirk as she leaned against the wall.
That is none of your concern, Hilda. Don't you have a Drakova to keep busy?
He huffed.
It may not be my business.
Hilda's voice smiled.
But it is mine. I will give you a chance to explain yourself, Arkarium.
Sloe boomed, appearing behind him in a plume of black vapors, making him jump and turn around almost in a blur of color.
Master Sloe!
Arkarium stuttered, his mind racing and his skin feeling damp as a cold sweat began to form. Sloe's glare made Arkarium feel as if a giant were pressing on his chest, reaching into his body and gripping his lungs.
I took a small scouting force to the monastery on the Mountain of Healing, located on the far side of the East Dragon Forest, eliminating all inside. I did so for easier infiltration into the temple and retrieval of Reen. I surveyed the temple itself while there.
I was never told of the path into the temple from Ysoria. How did you find this monastery?
Sloe hissed, his presence seeming to grow.
A woman claiming to be an oracle of the Keeper of all time. Until today, I never knew there was such a deity.
And what did you find at Ariel's temple?
Sloe asked, each syllable feeling like a drum in Arkarium's head while speaking through clenched teeth.
I was not able to determine much, save for the front gate being guarded at all times. There are beings made of armor who can create something called the Barrier of Memory. It becomes immune to whatever broke through it.
Arkarium's lips and tongue felt dry. If Magus Sloe knew his true intentions and that he lost an entire platoon in a matter of seconds, replacing his soldiers would be the least of his worries.
I see. Then can you explain to me why the entire platoon of serpent sorcerers you took with you is gone, and why Ariel has mobilized all the forces of the temple?
Sloe demanded. Arkarium stuttered and stumbled for words, backing away from Sloe with ever-increasing panic.
Master, that is, I meant—
You fool!
Sloe roared, whispers hissing in the air around them.
Your arrogance costs us nearly 2/3 of your forces and the element of surprise. Now Ariel has mobilized, increasing our waste of energy.
Chains began to clink into existence from seals appearing in the air, each with a spearhead at their end aimed for Arkarium.
I will spare you for now, Arkarium, as I still have use for you. Do not delay our progress again. Is that understood?
Sloe's voice dropped to a hissing whisper, seeming to echo all around Arkarium as a spear slid across the alchemist's cheek, drawing blood.
Yes, Master. I understand fully.
Arkarium spluttered, heaving for breath as Sloe walked away with Hilda close behind after watching the scolding.
Prepare your army, and tell Magus to prepare his troops.
Sloe commanded as he turned to Hilda.
We go to war. Now.